That's slow.
Okay.
I've got 6:59. Let's roll.
Yeah, Derek needs to
He's
go.
like, let's get this going. All right, well, we'll then call to order the, October Visual Resources Review Board. So we will start with the approval of the minutes for the September 26th meeting. Any comments, questions?
Move to approve minutes?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Wait a minute. Whoa, whoa.
Right, any opposed? Oh,
Be nice if I started the PowerPoint, right?
so next we have the staff report, so.
Okay, the staff report for the wall signs approved in the past month are, well, there were several. There was Hart Side Bank, which is there on Kingston Pike. I don't know if you've noticed them painting their building, but
Good.
they've changed the colors of that. So this is what they're proposing on the front of the building, which would be facing Kingston Pike. There it is at sort of an angle, but you can see how it would fit on the building there. This has been approved. And then on the side of their bank, they're going to have a small little thing on what would be the east side of the bank. And it'll just be on a little placard that then wraps around. It's sort of a part of an architectural detail, and then they're mounting it on that architectural detail on the building. So, both are pretty nice looking signs and they were approved. The next is Chase Bank, and that's going to be there at the corner of Brook Lawn and Kingston Pike. That's the steel that's going up now, and all the building work that's going out there. So it's the same site that the older Mexican restaurant used to be on. It's a corner lot, so they're getting a sign on two sides. So the first one is the Kingston Pike elevation, which is that north elevation. So the longer side of the building faces Kingston Pike. And then, then the Brook Lawn side is the west elevation there. So again, those are, pretty reasonable signs, pretty tastefully done. They were approved. The PGA Superstore, you reviewed, you saw this in a preceding meeting, but they decided they wanted to update the color of their lettering so it'll stand out more against the color of the building that the building's going to be painted. So they reapplied for white letter, and so that's what they are going with now. That's a mock-up of what it'll look like on the store once the store is all painted and everything. And then, so that's the side that faces the parking lot. And then this is the back corner by the interstate. So, and you can see there where the old Best Buy sign logo was. So, and that's it for the wall signs that were approved for the year, for the.
Okay. Any comments, questions on those? All right, we'll move on to the ground-mounted signs. So first we have Powell's Automotive at 314 North Watt Road.
Okay. They were a little bit behind in getting in all the information, so I can't recommend approval tonight. They were missing some items, and also they have submitted a site plan for the Planning Commission to review. I think it'll be on, I guess, the next month's meeting. And part of that will be they want to make some changes to their building. They want to put a small addition on it and also change the color scheme on the building and that sort of thing. So without having that in, we can't really check for architectural compatibility, particularly of the base. So like what material the base will be made out of and what coloring. So what they did want to do is get some input at tonight's meeting if you're comfortable with the overall design of the sign pending that base color. And that way, if they want, they can start fabrication knowing that, assuming they get the base right and the setbacks and everything right, that it would be approved. That obviously, it would be at their risk. But from what I understand they're going to do with the building, the sign face overall would be fine, and we don't really regulate that anyway. We really just focus on the architectural compatibility of the base of the sign and the structure, the supporting structure, and not so much the face of it. So I told him I'd at least get your take on, and this is an unofficial thing, but just some feedback on the design of the sign face, if you have any, and I don't see why it wouldn't be approvable, in terms of the design if they get the rest of the parameters right. So, in terms of an action, I would just recommend that you defer action on this till they can get all the required elements in. But if you have any input on the design, let me know and I can pass it on to them.
Do we need to discuss it? I don't have any questions right here on the face, and if we're going to defer it, it's going to come back in front of us.
Yeah.
So do we
Mhm.
need a motion to defer this item?
Yeah.
I'll motion to defer until a later date.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
Any comment on the look of it, or,
It looks fine.
okay.
Yeah, I don't,
Who seconded that?
I did.
Okay, Steve.
all right. Moving on to Discount Tire at 11201 Kingston Pike.
Okay, this item was actually postponed at the request of the applicant, so they sent an email over and asked that it be postponed, so we don't really have to take any action on this one. They are, they too are interested in changing the look of their building, and sort of updating that building, and they haven't submitted any of those architectural plans yet and haven't gotten anything approved, and that again affects what the sign's going to look like. So there was no reason to proceed at this time, so they pulled it off the agenda.
Do we need any, we don't need a motion on that, do we?
No,
Okay,
no, because they withdrew it.
okay. So then moving on to the next is Tommy's Slalom Shop at 11407 Outlet Drive.
Okay. So this is the ground sign that's going to be at Tommy's out there. The name on the application was Tommy's Slalom Shop, but this is what the sign will actually look like. They've gone back and forth on their names a little bit. But it's going to be boat sales and that sort of thing out there off of,
Next to Top Golf.
and it should be Outlet Drive, not Outlook Drive on their site plan, but I just noticed that. But, so, this will be their ground sign at the entrance. It's, the facility is back up the hill and through the trees, so it's a little hard to see the facility, although if you drive up there, they have a really nice wall sign. And this sign plan's a little complicated to see. They've got the setbacks and the site plan elements on this sheet. On this sheet, believe it or not, they have the landscape, which is up in this corner here. I can't really blow that up for you, I don't think, but I checked that and it meets all the standards. It's the minimum 50 square feet and the plantings around the sign base. And then here's a little bit better view of what the sign will look like with all the dimensions. It meets all of our requirements. It's going to be externally lit, so there's going to be a light bar down on the ground facing up towards the sign on each side, and that meets all our requirements as well. So staff can recommend approval of this.
All right, are there any comments or discussion on this? I
Looks
think it
good.
looks good.
looks good, yeah.
Yeah,
The building looks great if you guys haven't seen
Yeah.
it. I think there's ribbon cuttings
on Saturday, I believe.
This Saturday.
Yeah, and the sign, the sign's compatible with the building. There's a lot of that black brick on the building that they're using for the base of the sign here, so it'll look good.
All right. Any other comments,
No.
discussion? All right, do we have a motion?
I'll motion for approval.
Okay, second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So moving forward to the landscape plan. So the first one is at Dollar General and Advanced Auto Parts.
Yep, and this one was also postponed at the request of the applicant. They ran into a situation where they're having to redesign their site plan, and that's obviously going to affect their landscape plan. So they also sent an email over and asked that the item be postponed and taken off the agenda, so.
We approve.
All right, so then moving on to Biddle Farms development, multifamily and commercial phases.
Okay, this is a large landscape plan, and Annette Homel is here. She's the designer, if you have any questions. If there are, Annette, can you go up to the podium? But this is for the most recent 2 phases of the Biddle Farms development. It's the multifamily section and the commercial section. So the first couple of sheets are overall sheets, so you can see the development as a whole, including some of the future development elements. This is added to the packet so we can keep track of the various trade-offs they're making throughout the development to get the right number of trees in. This whole site is being developed as a planned commercial development, so we kind of look at it as a whole, but it is being done in phases, and there are various sections of it. And in some places, they just purely don't have enough space to put enough trees in to meet requirements, so they're going to balance it and put it elsewhere on the site as they go. So we're keeping track of that as the plan sheets come in. So these are showing what's going to be there as a whole and what's already been done. Phase 1 of this project, just for those of you who weren't on the board when that landscaping plan was looked at, was the Aldi parking lot, and the stormwater basins on the larger site. So now we're looking at the apartment, the apartment section here, their maintenance building here, a small area up in here that's going to be public restrooms and public space, some of the street trees along some of the public roads, and then the commercial area that's being developed there at the front. So this is a sheet that was added to try to keep track of the public space areas, what the road rights-of-way are and where the street trees and the public trees are, as opposed to the trees that'll be on private property elements of the development. And so now we have sections. So this is the commercial section, a little more detail, and then it blows into even more detail on these individual sheets. We've gone through it. It's largely compliant with our requirements. They made some changes for some of the trees that were being proposed. There's another section then it also shows that restroom area. These are all trees on public space. We do have a note on one thing that's going to have to be resolved is the maintenance of trees on the public space. And here's the overall on the multifamily, along with some trees along the greenway, their maintenance area, and then the larger apartment complex, which, as anyone that's driven past there, has taken shape pretty quickly. There's a little more detail on that and that section, and then that section. So, as I said, it's a complicated plan. It includes landscaping that's required around the building. It covers shade tree requirements. They have some additional landscaping in these islands that are going to be bioretention, and that's part of their stormwater management plan for the overall site. And then it's got some street trees. That's a separate requirement, but we thought it would be best to just keep them all on the landscape plan. It's easier to keep track of that way. So it's a very complex plan. I think that's the last sheet of it. So we can recommend approval of the plan, subject to, we need a note added that the maintenance of the bioretention areas will be provided in the development stormwater covenants. That was in a written narrative that went along with this plan and some answers to our questions, but we thought, that a note needed to be on the plan just for future reference. Need to relabel the trees that are around the public restroom area up here as public trees as opposed to street trees. They're not really the intention of what a street tree is, and some of the species, like the arborvitae, we wouldn't use as a street tree. That's just a simple labeling change. And then, as I said, there needs to be an agreement reached between the developers in the town for the maintenance of some areas of landscaping. For instance, like this median that runs down the boulevard in the main commercial area. That's on a public right-of-way, but the landscaping is fairly extensive, and, the town would not be in a position to maintain it at the same level of the developer. So if they want it landscaped to that level, they'll, we'll have to work out some sort of maintenance agreement with them. So subject to those things, staff can recommend approval. We also need you to consider the proposed use of one tree species that they were asking for down here. And this would be along Brook Lawn in front of the multifamily. And it's an autumn flame red maple, which is a fairly large tree.
That'll look good.
Yeah,
This time of year.
it's a little larger than our public tree ordinance calls for a street tree, but, the intent there was really for trees that are going to be in the green space, typically between the curb and a sidewalk, that's running along a road. These are going to be in these islands, and they're going to be set back further than that, like typically that space is about 6 feet wide. These islands are a good bit deeper than that, and the trees can be set back a little further in there. And so, growing out, I think the concern on the street trees is so there aren't conflicts between trucks and branches as the tree grows, and that the trees would be able to be limbed up. Also, we were thinking that given the size of those buildings, having a larger tree there in front, will, kind of be better in terms of scale potentially. But, we wanted to run that by the VRRB to see if you agree with the use of those. There's only a few there being used. There's some here on this first part of the apartment complex, and then on the other side of the traffic circle as well. I don't think I'm finding that right. Oh, here. So there's only a few of those that are there along Brook Lawn that technically are a little larger than what we would typically spec for a street tree, but we didn't want to just I'm not point that out and try to get some input from y'all on it.
I have a couple questions, Bart, on those trees. So that's right there on Brook Lawn where those vertical spaces are to back out straight. They go really into that road.
They're going to be angled,
So
angled
will,
parking, yeah.
right, so will those trees, I'm not familiar with how far down it would be, but I'm worried about the sight from those parking spots once they get to full size and being able to see enough for visibility reasons.
Yeah, I guess that's a point. I don't know, really how large, and that might be a question for Ned. Those, I measured the distances there, and, I think most of those trees can easily be pushed back, 8+ feet into the island, and that's really where they're shown on a lot of those islands. So, if you got a tree trunk and you're backing out, the whole point of that angle parking is to kind of get people to slow down a little bit, so, but I'll let Annette speak
You
to
need my
that.
name and all that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Those trees are shown at 25-foot diameter, so just looking at that roughly, they should be set back into the island about 12 and a half feet.
Yeah.
So they, and as long as they're kept limbed up, you should be able to see around them just fine.
Okay.
And that is one of the parameters for a street tree, is that it can be limbed up. It you know, that it's a species that lends itself to that type of pruning.
Yeah, that'll look
good
like that.
And those are on the space that would be managed and maintained by the developer, correct?
Well, these may be taken over by the town, because that's just gonna be a tree in an island. And so basically, there's gonna have to be a sit-down between the town and the developer to determine, you know, which areas that are on public property are gonna be maintained by the public, by the town, and which would be maintained by the developer. So, you know, and it may, you know, be that those are, but all those parking spaces are actually on the road right away. So those will all be public parking spaces for people to use, and that's the same on the backside, although they weren't using these trees on that side. They were using black gum, I think you
Mhm.
used on the other
Yeah.
side, yeah. But,
Okay. Any other discussion, questions for Annette?
Yes, I have one.
okay.
On the backside of the multifamily units, 3, 4, 5, is there any landscape plan along that backside separating the parking from that future development? I think we discussed like having a buffer,
Oh, what's going
hedge.
across the drive from there?
On the, yeah, okay, I can see it now. Never mind.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh, the full one, one more. Yeah.
Right
that one.
there, right there.
yeah.
Okay.
There's a
That-
few trees in there, but that future development area is gonna be the townhomes, and that'll be coming in, and probably, they've already got site plan approval and I guess
I'm trying to
subdivision
finish it up.
plat for that, okay.
Trying to get it finished.
that-
But
that-
that, yeah, we'll address the landscaping when we come in with the townhome project for that
Yeah.
area.
And this isn't probably part of the site plan, though. What's the landscaping plan for the Village Green area? So I know that's public right away, and there's nothing
That
on
was
here,
just
but
proposed to be largely open grass. We did have a question for, where is that? This, you know, this is just gonna be, open grass, and that's what the town wanted, so that if they wanna have events or
Access,
things
yeah.
set up on that, they, you know, it won't be encumbered. This one little area is actually pretty heavily landscaped with shrubs, and it's in the public right of way, so that's one of the areas we need to decide, you know, who's gonna maintain that, because it's right there at the entranceway to one of the apartment buildings, so,
okay.
in terms of pedestrian access, at least.
I think-
But yeah, that overall lawn space, this is scheduled to just be, open lawn for right now.
Okay, thanks, Annette. I don't have anything else to add or questions.
Anything else? I don't have anything either. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, so do we have a motion?
I will make a motion to approve the landscape plan for Biddle Farms.
For the
Okay.
subject
To-
to.
And the
for the
subject to,
And, yes,
Okay.
and do you want to
Sure.
read the subject twos just for?
Sure. The addition of a note indicating that the maintenance of the bioretention areas will be provided for in the development stormwater covenants. Relabeling the trees around the public restroom as public area as opposed to streetscape trees. An agreement being made between the developer and the town regarding ongoing maintenance for the landscaping on public areas. And then, you know, the use of those red maples along Brook Lawn.
I'll second.
Thank you.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I'd like so. Okay, all right. Bart, thank you.
Great.
Anything else that you have
I
to discuss?
just want to remind everyone that November 4th is our stream cleanup day. I'll send an email out for everybody with like you know, the place we're gonna meet and the time we're gonna meet for that. It'll probably be there in that, you know, in the park and ride lot by the liquor store there. That's where y'all typically meet. Did you ever get that?
I haven't gotten the waiver yet.
Okay.
But I've put up flyers around the school, and I'm really struggling to have anybody volunteer to get up
Well,
on a Saturday morning. But we're trying, and I'm gonna text it to the group tonight.
okay.
We gotta get that out tonight. I've learned the closer you get to it, the more they'll remember it. So we're gonna
Yeah.
try. Yeah,
Okay.
Sounds right.
Or
Okay.
if you don't have anything, I'm gonna go ahead and start walking out unless you've got anything else for us.
Nope, that's
I've got
it.
a team waiting to coach.
There you go.
Thank you. Sorry, guys. I hate to rush
Thanks.
out.
See ya.
for being here. Absolutely.
All right.
Okay.
Bart, was there anything else?
No, that's it.
All
That's
right.
it. So I'll send that out. I'll go back and double check, and make sure you get that waiver form. And, you know, if you don't get volunteers, you don't get volunteers.
I'm gonna try.
All right.
I thought they'd need more, but we had homecoming a couple nights ago, or a couple weeks ago, so they all volunteered for that. So
And they don't necessarily be, you know, like if we start at, you know, whatever time we decided to start at, if we start at 9, they don't necessarily have to be there at 9. They could start a little later.
oh yeah, no, I told them it would be probably what do you think, like a 2-hour commitment maybe?
You know, just as long as they can.
I
you
kind of, that's
know?
what I
mean,
put on the flyer. I said maybe like it's a one-time short commitment, so
Yeah.
maybe that'll get them.
I mean, if,
we'll
you
see.
know, if someone can only be there an hour, that's an hour of more than there was if they weren't there. So,
Yeah, that's true.
We'll adjourn.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.